Welcome to the Harvest Bridge podcast. A part of our work here at Harvest Bridge is connecting local leaders in South Asia with people like you here in the United States. Through our podcast, we want to provide a place where you can hear their voices and listen to their stories in their own words. There is a transcription available for those who prefer to read these stories. Today, we would like to share a conversation between Kate, the executive director of Harvest Bridge, and Shalva, our ministry director in Nepal. In addition to the ministry that happens throughout Nepal, Harvest Bridge supports missionaries specifically called to the border of Nepal and Tibet. In this interview, Shalva shares about the restrictions China has on the Tibetan people and how ministry is happening in seemingly impossible circumstances. Before we hear from Shalva, let's talk for a moment about Tibet. Tibet is an autonomous region of China. That means that while it has some independence, the Chinese government has tight control over its politics, culture, and religion. The restrictions you will hear Shalva share about in this podcast show just how determined China is to keep this control. But why does China want this control over Tibet? Why would a powerful country like China have such an interest in keeping the Tibetan people under its control? Tibet is the third largest source of water in the world, making it a critical resource for China. It is also positioned directly between China and India, making its position critical in the tensions between these countries. There is also the concern for China that if Tibet gains full independence, then other minority groups and autonomous regions in China would be empowered to do the same. With that background, let's hear from Shalva about the impact of this control on daily life for the people of Tibet and how the missionaries of Harvest Bridge do ministry in spite of these challenges.
Can you say that thing that you had said before about how Tibet, like if you're born in Tibet, you can't get a visa to leave until a certain age?
Until 60 years of age. If you are born in Tibet, you cannot get passport until 60 years of age, because the Chinese government, if this Tibetan will go to other country, and they will protest the Chinese. And sometimes they will torch their body in other country, Many times they try to torch their body in Kathmandu also. So that's why Chinese government is not giving visa, passport until 60 years of age. After 60 years age, only you can apply for the passport in Tibet.
You just heard Shalva share that for those born in Tibet, you cannot get a passport until you are 60 years old. This restriction is just one of the many ways China is trying to prevent the people of Tibet from becoming more independent. By keeping them isolated, they cannot leave Tibet, share what is happening there, or protest. He also referred to the Tibetan people torching their bodies. Self-immolation as a form of protest has become tragically common, with over 150 people having burned themselves to death since 2009.
Tibetan life is very miserable. If you live in Tibet, if you go to grocery market, want to go to the grocery market, you need to scan your body. You need to scan your whole body. You have to go through the machine like in airport, scan your body. You are not allowed to take matchbox, any lighter or anything in your body. And you scan your whole body, then show government photo ID. Then only you are allowed. Otherwise, you cannot go to grocery market also. So very tight. Their life is very miserable.
Shalva shared here that even something as simple as going to the grocery store has become controlled. Before you go into the store, your body is scanned. Something we only see in the highest security areas like airports here in the US is a part of daily life for the people of Tibet.
Chinese communist government is very capturing them and not allowing them to get connected with the outside world. So because of that, they are coming to the Nepal-Tibet border. So we are utilizing that facility through our missionaries to preach them gospel. But it is very hard. Some Tibetan come, but if they are healed in the Jesus name, they will quickly believe in Jesus. So we have that kind of many families also coming to the Lord. But their life is very tough in the Tibet. That's why they try to infiltrate into the Nepal because they want some kind of freedom. They have no freedom.
Life has become so difficult in Tibet that people are coming to the border with Nepal to attempt to escape. It is here that the missionaries of Harvest Bridge are able to do ministry with them. This is a dangerous ministry, and more on that in just a minute. First, let's hear from Shalva about what is happening with the children.
Then another thing, Chinese government captures their children. If they have children and Chinese government says, we will teach your children and we will give good education, good job they will get, then they will take the children to the Beijing and they have a different schooling, communist schooling and other things, and they will raise in that environment. And after coming from, that education, they will not support their parents. So, this kind of, wiping out the Tibetan population like that, the communist strategy we see.
Recently, human rights watch groups have sounded the alarm that China is attempting to wipe out Tibetan language and culture altogether through a controversial program involving residential school systems for Tibetan children. The Chinese government promises a good education for the Tibetan children, but the program assimilates Tibetan children into Chinese language and culture, distancing them from their heritage and their families.
So the reason for them not giving them visas until they're 60 is basically they want to cut down on young people getting out of the country and spreading the word of how oppressive the regime is and how oppressive China is.
Yeah.
This is the context for the people of Tibet, who come to the Nepal-Tibet border seeking hope, and the Harvest Bridge missionaries meet them there.
Yeah, our missionaries are living in the Nepal-Tibet border, and they are doing a small business in the border, like a snack shop, selling some vegetables, some kind of business, simple, small business. It's not very expensive rent. Their rent is not very expensive. So they actually, these Tibetan people come to Nepal border for buying the daily necessity things because the little bit cheaper they find in Nepal. It's a daily necessity. Things are very cheap in Nepal comparing to Tibet. So because of that, they come there. And our missionaries, they are sharing gospel, and some are sick. They are praying with them. And some these Tibetan people also live in Nepal side, and some are interested, some are getting healing, and they are making them disciples.
To build relationships with the people of Tibet, the missionaries set up small shops on the border. Here, they sell necessary items for less than they can be bought in Tibet. In this marketplace ministry, the missionaries are able to get to know the Tibetan people and then share the hope of the gospel with them. But couldn't the missionaries in Nepal cross over into Tibet to do ministry? Let's hear again from Shalva.
Actually, we have some churches in the border, not inside the Tibet. They are allowed to travel until the 20 kilometers inside the Tibet without passport, without visa and without passport. With a Nepali ID card, citizenship, they can travel until 20-25 kilometers. So sometimes our missionaries are going there, but they kind of cannot preach there. But they are just making the relationship with the people, getting to know each other and making friendship, asking them when you visit us and you can stay with us, like that things they are sharing there. And of course, there is a persecution in the Tibet. This Tibetan. These Buddhists, they are against the Christianity. They're deadly against. If they know that you are preaching gospel, you are a Christians, then they will almost kill you. So you will lose, and they will just kill and throw you somewhere in the forest, and nobody find your dead body. So this is the situation. So that's why our missionaries are not preaching in the Tibet.
The ministry leaders of Harvest Bridge can go as far as 25 kilometers, or about 15 miles, into Tibet, but the risks increase dramatically in this short distance. According to Shalva, those sharing the gospel will be killed, and their bodies disposed of in the forest. Even though their ministry in Nepal is not without risk, the risks in crossing into Tibet are even greater. Even with this risk, some missionaries cross over into Tibet to build relationships with the people. Despite all of these obstacles, the missionaries are doing ministry every day in any way that they can. One Harvest Bridge leader sent in a report sharing about her ministry with women and children on the border. She organizes gatherings for the women and their children to build their faith. Another hosts house fellowships that allow for deeper discussions about faith and Bible training sessions. He writes, "Despite the rugged terrain, we remain committed to nurturing spiritual growth and fellowship in their remote corner of the world. We hope to bring light and hope to the people, drawing them closer to God's love and grace." This is just a snapshot of the ministry happening on the border to support the people of Tibet. In spite of these unbelievable obstacles, the missionaries are sharing hope and healing. Thank you for listening to the Harvest Bridge podcast. Follow us on social media or subscribe to our email list to learn more about the ministry of leaders throughout South Asia who are doing much with little.